working. You've 90 days. You'll get your music kicking. Your friends will be amazed. It's 50/90. That's why HFO is here. It's 50/90. It's 50/90. Good evening and welcome from the HFO studio. Hello to Wobby, hello to De French Doge, hello to Noirgire. Welcome, thank you for stopping by. Hope you're having a good Sunday. Here in the UK, it's a long bank holiday weekend. Ryoko Music, good evening. Yes, I get tomorrow off from not working, so it's kind of the same as it normally is. I hope you're all doing well. And if you're watching this for the first time, then hello, this is my Sunday night show, which is primarily aimed at people who are taking part in the songwriting challenge known as 50/90. The idea is that you have to write 50 songs in the 90 days between the 4th of July and the 1st of October. And if you're on schedule, you should have 32 songs under your belt by the end of today. But if you haven't, worry not. There is still plenty of time for you to finish the challenge with 50 songs in your collection. There are people who have done the 50/90 show, who have done the challenge in a weekend and written 50 songs in a weekend. You've got 4 weekends till the 1st of October, so panic not. But even if you haven't got 32 songs under your belt, then have fun taking part, because it's the taking part that's huge fun. And listening to other people's stuff is a big part of that. And I've been busy leaving comments for people this week, so I'm now in the Century Club twice over. I've got my 200 and something comment down on the site, and there's plenty more good stuff to listen to. You will also notice I'm not wearing a brace. It's still twingy, but it is a lot better than it was. For those of you who don't know, I gave myself something that resembled either a sprain or tennis elbow playing guitar for 6 hours solid, which strangely enough is not as good an idea as I thought it was at the time when I started. But I have actually been playing guitar today, so more on that in a minute. Hello to Vesper, good evening. That studio looks bad bottom. Also hellos to everyone. Yeah, this is kind of where I live at the moment. It's in the process of being revamped. At the moment, it's under one of these Argos bunk and desk bed combinations. But once 50/90 finishes, there will be changes afoot, because it is now about a month until I get my new setup. I can't wait. And things will change significantly in here. Hopefully, with the result that I will no longer be suffering from head injuries when I forget where I'm sitting and stand up. But If you're watching the edited version of this on YouTube, then hello and thank you for following me. If you're not following me, then please follow me. Then I can thank you for following me. Please click on the subscribe button. Please click on the like button that's just down there. And if you want to be notified of when more of this content goes live, and there will be shitloads of this content going live on a regular basis throughout the rest of the year, then please click on the little bell icon. Good evening to Array of Emotions as well. Hey, the gang's all here. This is really good. Ryako Music says, yeah, who needs weekly concussions? Indeed. So, as I have no longer got a brace on, you might be saying, well, does this mean Chris has been picking up a guitar again? And, condolences to Vesper, who says, fellow injury here, kissed the side of a stony hill last weekend from my bike going down at fun speeds. Yeah, coming off a bike is never fun. Try to avoid that. A Rare Emotion says stream. Start again, Chris. Put your teeth in. Stream seems kind of stuttery, or is it just us? No, it is here too, says Wobby. Oh dear, this is not good. What have I not turned off that I normally do turn off? No, that's yeah. There's nothing different here as far as I'm aware. But please keep an eye on that and let me know. Ryako Music says that sounds bad, Vesper. Ouchies. Yeah, definitely. Going off a bike is never fun. Going over the handlebars in particular. I've done that more than enough times. Vesper says, give us music. You ask for music, here's music. So, as you may have seen, I've not got the elbow brace on, which means I've picked up the guitar for the first time in nearly a week. And the track that I was holding off on completing is this one called Sight Unseen, which now has guitar in it. And why don't I just shut up and play it to you? So here it is. Plastic So there we go. That's the final version of Sight Unseen. Apologies for that running a little bit hot to start with. I still faffing around with audio levels. The audio meter in OBS that I'm using isn't the most reliable of sound pressure level or sound meters, but thank you for the kind words on the guitar solo. It was so nice to pick up a guitar and play. I really, really felt down as a result of not being able to play guitar, which is kind of sad. A lot of chat on, or comments in the chat as well, about my pessimistic worldview, and good Lord, the songs that I've been putting together this week have been pessimistic as F. So I have not forgotten the fact that I'd promised to write a upbeat, happy dance song, but that hasn't happened yet. And in fact, with Mel talking about how bleak my worldview was, and the fact that there used to be a thread on the William Gibson board that was simply titled Bleak, I thought I'd actually write a song that was entitled Bleak. The interesting part of it is that this song, I really pushed myself in that there's no drums. There's no guitars. There's no bass. There's just very little other than my voice and a few synthesizer tracks. My tried and trusted Yamaha DX7 TRW patch, which is the closest thing I can find sonically to the good old-fashioned and very expensive on Martineau. Vesper says, Beak! Wrong thread, mate. We should get Louis here to do that. I actually, somewhere on this machine, have a sample of Louis saying beak. Maybe I should run that into a song at some point. The Array of Emotion says, the Bleak Thread. Good times. For those of you not familiar, it was primarily a thread on the William Gibson, the author's bulletin board that was run by Penguin Random House, that consisted almost entirely of very, very depressing black and white photographs of industrial landscapes in various stages of disrepair, and it was glorious. Ryako says, I found my coffee squid shirt. I was looking for it ages ago and it was at the bottom. See, the thread is now, and I apologise to those of you who have not been on the William Gibson board thread for the last 10 or 15 years or so, but a lot of the conversation on chat will make very little sense to you, for which I apologise. But the French Doe says, after looking at some songs for the 5090, I realised many write sad songs or melancholic songs. Yeah, there is a phase one seems to go through fairly early on as a songwriter, which is a bit like Father Ted's speech in the awards episode of Father Ted, where he basically uses it to say all the things and settle all the scores that he'd never had an opportunity to do so otherwise. And a lot of people write songs to their exes or about their exes, and I did it. I totally put my hand up and say doing that. I learnt very quickly that, yeah, they kind of suck, so I don't do them anymore. But if it works for other people, and it's worked for Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, so it's not for me to comment, but my songs in that sort of genre do not work. So I tend to be a bit more open and less specific in my targets, apart from this one, which is, it ended up being about climate change. So this is literally my voice doubled synths, doing the main chordal melody, a bit of the TRW, and what was that one? That was, I think, an electric piano. Let's just see. Is it going to call up? There we go. Oh, it was strings. Okay. So anyway, this is called Bleak.
I can see by the way that you move that I've lost you. I've been told that my worldview's increasingly bleak. But I know just how much that the future will cost you. If you knew what I know, you'd want me to speak. I'm well past the point of obeying convention. In accepting the lie that we need to use oil. How much worse will it get before you pay attention? Will you wait till the seas are beginning to boil? I can see that this issue is coming between us. Greenhouse emissions are of no concern. But our climate is going the same way as Venus. We're mad to allow the rainforest to burn. I'm well past the point of obeying convention. accepting the lie that we need to use oil. How much worse will it get before you pay attention? Will you wait till the seas are beginning to boil?
So, as various people on the chat have said, that's kind of a departure for me. Really naked vocals on this. There's not a lot to hide behind on that. Thank you for the applause, everybody. Yeah, I mean, my voice is not the greatest feature of my musical enterprises, so there's a little bit of help being dropped in it. Yeah, it's a hugely sad song. You know, it's the death of a relationship, and it's quite possibly the death of a habitable planet. But that was kind of the headspace I was in yesterday when I sort of faffed around with this. De French Doge says the pads and piano combo is perfect. Thank you. The secret, and it's one that I use over and over and again, is the Cinematic Strings preset on Arturia's Analog Lab. Cinema layer. So you end up with a Pigments preset and also a German Grand Intimate, which probably means it's just close mic'd and there's not an awful lot of reverb on it. Reaction Music says, can we just die now? I will be doing bouncy, happy stuff. I promise. It will get more upbeat. That track was kind of the low emotional point of the arc in the album, so to speak. So it's the quiet introspective downer in the middle of the album before you start bringing everybody up until you end up with the totally anthemic full-on dance number at the end of the album, which is what I'm working for it. Lame Five King says, it was sublime. Your voice has a Roger Waters tone to it. I really liked it. You're very kind, sir. Very, very kind. That, as De French Doge pointed out, relied quite heavily on this plugin, which is called Valhalla Supermassive, which is a free download that you can add as a VST to your DAW. 64-bit, so it works within Ableton Live 10, and it has some absolutely amazing presets on it. In keeping with the Blade Runner theme, I don't know if you can see that, but the preset that I actually ended up using is called Sea Beams, glittering in the dark off the Tannhauser Gate. So yeah, very, very Vangelis-y, very Blade Runner-ish. And yeah, I promise things will get happier after this. So yeah, there's some existential comments. Yeah, the Andromeda galaxy crossing the Milky Way is about 5 million years ahead. The main risk from that isn't, surprisingly enough, collisions with other stellar systems. It's that being out here on the boonies of the Milky Way, our solar system stands a reasonable chance of being thrown off into interstellar space by gravitational interactions. So there's something to look forward to. but by 5 million years we'll either be extinct or at the point where we can steer our solar system around like a freaking big spaceship. So who knows? Vesper says, so is Happy Vangelis music like rain going upwards in pinkish neon lights? I'm trying to visualize here. Yeah, this is more... What did I have in mind for this? This was more like a sort of dinner date on a very, very wet, very, very rainy Tuesday night when everybody in their right mind is hunkered down at home, but this couple are having conversations about climate change and it's not going well. But enough of the Bleak. Shall we move on to something else? From Bleak, I think we should go on to outright disdain, because if you were tuned in on Thursday night, you may remember I was having tremendous trouble trying to get my head round a song that I'd named Stochastic Policy, because it was all about the random changes in government guidance that our gloriously thick Prime Minister has been making. And at the time when I left you, Stochastic Policy was, quite frankly, like the government, in a bit of a mess. So, as I threatened, I pulled it apart. And you remember we were talking about Bagpuss and Oliver Postgate and various small films of the late 1970s and possibly even earlier. And I kind of picked that up and ran with it. And what I ended up doing was taking the harp that was kind of lurking in the background, and I made that the frontispiece of the track. And in true small films fashion, I added a bassoon. Now, the thing with the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package is that if you want to make it sound convincing, you have to change the voicings that you're using. You can't just have the staccatissimo bassoon, or you can't just have the legato bassoon, because that's not how a bassoon player plays a bassoon. So what I've done, if you can see here, the blue tracks here, I've actually got both the staccatissimo and the legato bassoon tracks sharing the melody between them. And with the harp going in the background, this is what they ended up sounding like. So, kind of very different vibe from the shouty orchestra and the confusing echoes that I had last time, I think you'll agree. And yeah, I'll play the whole thing. You want to hear the whole thing? Of course you want to hear the whole thing. I'll play you the whole thing. I do not have a very good opinion of our Prime Minister, so if you do, then I'm sorry, but we'll have to agree to disagree. Here we go.
Never been a little boy. Always fat and overfed. Of charm entirely devoid. While others worked, he stayed in bed. Always entitled to the best. He idled while his school days passed. His teachers failed to be impressed. His scope of ignorance too vast. Much too lazy to find work. So politics, the only choice. Just like every other Tory Burke. In bluff and bluster found his voice. He likes to put himself about. With no restraint, he cannot stop. Believes he's just the sort of lout who deserves to be on top. So now he sits in number 10. Just like he said he would at school. But things aren't the same as they were then. Now everyone knows he's a fool. Keeps changing what he wants to do. Can't seem to make decisions stick. Looks like his grand career is through. He's just a sexist, racist prick.
And once again, the piccolo is doubled, so I'm using legato and the staccatissimo, and of course it's dropped very decisively back into Valhalla Supermassive, which is, what am I using on this one? Horsehead is the preset I used on this one. Lots of very nice things said about something which I buried further and further and further and further back in the mix, which is this Pigments. It's bit crushed, and it's got a beat repeat on it. So the original Pigments patch is bit crushed, and then I compressed the hell out of it and bit crushed it even further, and then dropped the semi-subtle beat repeat on it, which is, it's an Ableton tool which basically splits a bar up into a number of different sections on a grid. So as you can see from that little bit there, it's currently split into a grid of 16ths. And what it does is that you dial a chance in, and at the moment it happens 42.9% of the time, is that it will start repeating on that grid and drop down in pitch and pitch decay away. So it's one of my favourite little subtle touches on something where you want what would otherwise be a fairly rhythmic, fairly uniform, fairly predictable pattern to suddenly catch you out, make you different, make you hear different things. And I noticed in that it actually does it quite obtrusively at the end of a vocal line, which is, I mean, you couldn't pick a better time for it to do it. So I love beat repeat. I love the bit crush things, and as Vesper says, the bleeps. You can't beat a good set of bleeps. So that went from being a complete and utter shambles on Thursday to me tearing great lumps of it apart and just deleting stuff and then redoing it more or less from the ground up again. Once again, making extensive use of Spitfire Audio's BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package. If you're not aware of this, if you use a DAW, you go to the Spitfire Audio site, you fill in a questionnaire on how you compose music. Are you a professional? Are you an amateur? What do you do? And then 2 weeks later, they add the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package to the VSTs that you can download. That you can download and install with your Spitfire Audio app. So that's kind of what I've done. So there's lots of strings on here, so a whole bunch of cellos which are carrying the bass, and then the basses don't so much carry the bass as just do little almost vocalized hum 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 in the bottom. So then there's various tremolando violas and some violins for good measure. And then we get a little bit of the horns come in for the very, very final verse. So I've got French horns and cornets in the horns section, tenor trombones and bass trombones. Bass trombones? Go fishing again. Handling a little bit of embellishment and a bit of the old barp for the final verse before the piccolo rolls it all out. And I was quite chuffed with that. It wasn't at all what I'd set out to make, but yeah, I'll take that as a song. Now, Ryako Music says, hey, first only, what was that plugin you used for detecting and controlling the frequencies in your mix? Also, did you use Nectar on your vocals? Yes and yes. Kind of a bit of both. So if we go to my verse vox, you can see there is a line in very grim dark purple, which is just the bass vocals. So if I solo that, this is just me.
So now he sits in number 10.
So more on the emotion than the actual pitch, but we'll ignore that. Then underneath that, I take post effects feed from that audio and I chuck it into vocal synth. So if we solo vocal synth, this is what vocal synth is doing. Vocal synth is an isotope plugin. It comes as part of their... So it's very quiet. Let's just unquiet it.
Just like he said he would at school. But things aren't the same as they were then.
So it's kind of a ring modulator, again, like I did on the More Than Meets the Eye. It's there more to create grit and a sort of subliminal feeling of menace, that there might be a Dalek hiding at the back of the room, perhaps. After all, that's what ring modulators are for these days. And then, as Mel suspected, here's my normal default, pretty much, vocal processing chain that is being dropped on both of the straight vocals and the vocal synth vocals. So we've got RX7, which detects mouth clicks and noise, because, as you can see, I sit with my nose pretty much on the windshield of the microphone, and in playing this, it's detected and repaired 410 clicks. So I'm a bit noisy on this because, I'm just a bit noisy. Ryako Music says, is vocal synth part of Nectar? I think it is certainly in the, it was certainly in the bundle that I got. There may well be a vocal processing bundle, in which case it will be in there. There is also a very, very nice, and I believe still free, plugin that is called Vocal Doubler. And I actually use that on the next track that I'm going to play you. So you can hear how that changes vocals as well. But isotopes processing stuff I couldn't do without, and it's completely changed what I do in terms of producing and mastering. I thought you were going to ask me that. What bundle did I get? I honestly can't remember, and they keep changing them anyway. So why don't we just go to the Isotope site and find out. Right, that's what I got. I did not pay $500 for it. In fact, I seem to remember it was $249. So keep an eye on that. But the Music Production Suite 3 seems to be the bundle I had. Those are the things that I got when I bought the bundle. Nimbus and R4 are two extremely good and extremely complex reverb plugins. Ryako Music says, sorry to hijack this, but the sale ends tomorrow. No, hijack away, mate. I mean, the whole point of me doing these shows is to help people to identify ways that they want to improve the quality of the stuff they're doing. And if that means plumping for a sexy bundle on the Isotope site, then have at it, I say. Absolutely. Do not apologise at all. The other folk that are having a sale at the moment are these guys. You can get a whole bunch of very, very sexy plugins from Waves. And there are some really good ones that are just $29 each. And as you saw at the top of the page, if you buy 50 quid's worth of plugins, which is 2 plugins, you get 1 free. So you get 3 for the price of 2, or I would guess something like 5 for the price of 4 with that spend 90 quid, or 4 for the price of 3 maybe. But there are some good ones. Very tempted to get one of those bundles like diamond or gold or whatever, because waves are very good. But yes, I need to stop spending money. I need to start earning money, making money with this stuff rather than spending it. So yes, that was Stochastic Policy, as you can see, version 2. So I talked just now about Vocal Doubler. And Vocal Doubler is a free plugin that you can... Ryaka Music says, any Waves ones you recommend? All of them. Okay, this is one-handed. So here I drop Vocal Doubler onto the verse vocals. So if I just play the verse vocals soloed with Vocal Doubler turned off, and then I'll turn it on, you can hear how it messes up my vocals.
I'm not the trooper that I used to be.
And on.
Don't have the fire I once had.
And off.
I'm still the muso that I choose to be. I'll take the good and leave the bad. The choice is simply staying happy, or giving in and being sad.
So as you can see, it's not subtle, although you can dial it down to make it a bit subtle, but it's like a super duper chorus that also separates your vocals out, and it's actually trying to work on the microphone feed that I'm talking to you with, because I've got the track enabled. So let's just turn that way, and it stops doing it. So from having absolutely raw isolated vocals with just a bit of Vangelis in the background, I tried to make myself sound a little less like I'd just taken a face full of tranquilizers, hence the rather more energetic vocals. And again, no guitar on this, still using the rather brilliant Cakewalk bass guitar, which I showed you last week, which you play as a MIDI instrument. So if I arm that track and octave down, so very, very nice sampled electric Fender precision bass, which you can play on a keyboard, which means that I'm not knackering my elbow, which is one of the reasons I think that the elbow is healed. Now, I said last week that I was going to investigate some of the other plugins that you get with Cakewalk. And it turns out there's a drum kit as well. And not only is the drum kit, I mean, it's like a poor man's easy drummer, but if it's free, then yeah, all you need to do, download Cakewalk from BandLab's site, install it. If you install it, it will ask you where you keep your VST plugins for 32-bit and 64-bit, and it will install its own suite of VST plugins for you that not only work in Cakewalk, they work in any other DAW that you have installed on your machine. So this is what you get when you open it. You only get one kit, but one kit's enough. You get a whole bunch of different genres of MIDI grooves that you can then drop on your track. And if I just double click one, bit shouty, so let's try something a little bit laid back, like Jazz 4. And there's some pretty nifty soul and funk ones. So the ones I ended up using here are this one. So there's echoes of the Purdy shuffle, maybe. So for your delectation and delight, I put this track together in a way that switches between the free Cakewalk drum kit and my standard drum kit of choice, which is Superior Drummer. And as we went for a funk beat on the Cakewalk drum kit, I've gone for a big funk drum kit in Easy Drummer. As you can see, the drum kit's not all that different, actually. And the groove that I'm using here is from, what's it from? Oh, it's from the funk MIDI pack that you can buy from Toontrack as an extra. And those MIDI packs will work in the Cakewalk drum. So you can swap your MIDI grooves from package to package by just dropping them onto the appropriate line of your DAW. This is the groove that I was using in Superior Drummer. So it's a bit more involved. It goes on for 8 bars, whereas I think the Cakewalk one only goes on for a bar or a couple of bars. But I dropped in a couple of others. And anyway, what is there other than that? So there's the fake bass guitar, which I was playing with the keyboard. There is Dexed, because, of course, I'm using the free Yamaha DX7 emulation that you can download from GitHub. Just do a search on whatever firmest search engine of your choice that you have. Look for Dexed, D-E-X-E-D, and you'll find this. It's a nice sort of synthy, leady, electro piano type stuff. Then I'm using the Arturia V Collection Wurlitzer electric piano, which is another one that I love. Very, very nicely modelled version of a 1960s electric piano that isn't a Fender Rhodes. And yeah, I was just faffing around, really. This is what I came up with.
I'm not the trooper that I used to be. Don't have the fire I once had. I'm still the muso that I choose to be. I'll take the good and leave the bad. The choice is simply staying happy or giving in and being sad. My arms will not do what they should do. I'm not concerned with what I lack. I'll simply do the thing I could do. Play with one hand behind my back. My limbs don't work the way they used to. More aches and pains with every day. But they don't count as an excuse to stop playing when I want to play. I'm gonna focus on the problem, not simply hope it goes away. My arms will not do what they should do. I'm not concerned with what I lack. I'll simply do the thing I could do. Play with one hand behind my back. The situation's problematic, but Mother Nature finds a way. despite still being symptomatic. I'll keep on keeping on okay. I'll work within my limitations, so I can jam another day.
So, short and sweet. The, again, filter delay, drop the old favourite moving 356 onto the whirly, gives it that really syncopated groove. And if I turn it off, you can just hear, I don't know if you've seen Bill Bailey's imitation of The Edge when he's on stage with his pedalboard suffering a catastrophic power failure, and the result sounds almost the same as when I turn off the beat repeat on, or the filter delay.
The situation's problematic.
So there's with the beat repeat, and without it,
I'll keep on
much more boring, isn't it? So Ryako Music says, dude, there is no shame in using Melodyne. I tune my stuff slightly. I've used it. Well, I used it on the Cararifa Sforzando plugins. Pretty much every time I've used them this week, because I've really found those plugins, nice though they are kind of pitchy, in the same way that Arturia's emulation of the Fairlight tends to be fairly arbitrary about what note it's playing. But that's kind of part of the charm of them, I guess. But I think that, yeah, I'm probably going to have to go back to that one. And I can hear several times I'm really going for a note and failing to reach it. But I'm not really a singer. I'm a lot better at being a singer than I used to be, but I still wouldn't say that I'm actually there. So that was one-handed. We've covered stochastic policy. We've covered Bleak. We've covered sight unsight. Being okay is enough. Well, it's not really. It's not really even started yet. That's what I've been working on this evening. So the only other thing that I've got at the moment is a track called Old Blue Jeans. So once again, mouth declick, mildly aggressive compression, neck to 3, and then vocal hole on the vocals. Superior drummer for all the drums on this. And then once again, we've got the Cakewalk bass playing the bass. There is a Stage 73 electric piano handling the piano, and then a few horns and stuff. And this is what this one sounds like.
I get the feeling modern living's not agreeing with me. This piece of faded denim keeps me sane by being with me. They might be torn, but I know they're gonna fit me right. I might be jaded, but they make me feel the future's bright. Please don't try to ask me what the universe universe might mean. The only certainty in life is wearing my blue jeans. I wear black denim, but it never feels the same. My old blue jeans are all that's worthy of the name. They're my first choice of what to wear when I am going out. A place that won't accept them's not a place to care about. Please don't try to ask me what the universe might mean. The only certainty in life is wearing my blue jeans. You can keep your chinos and your corduroys and such. They might be stylish, but I don't care for them much. You know, the clothing that is closest to my heart. I'm gonna wear these old blue jeans until they fall apart. Please don't try to ask me what the universe might mean. The only certainty in life is wearing my blue jeans.
Yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a weird one. I'm not really sure where that one came from, other than the fact that I did the ironing yesterday, and as I was putting my clothes away, I thought I'd thrown those jeans out. So these jeans have had a song written about them. How cool is that? So Riako is saying, how do I decide I want all the things? And yeah, this is the only trouble of when you go down the line of discovering what mixing and mastering plugins like Neutron or like the Waves equivalent does, and on the master bus when you find out what Ozone does to your mix, you suddenly realize that actually they play a very, very important part in changing something that sounds pretty good to something that sounds awesome. And Mel was asking, do I need tonal balance control? What tonal balance control does, which I dropped on this track, it splits the music that it's listening to into 4 bandwidths. So from 0 to about 250 hertz, from 250 hertz to 2K, from 2K to about 8K, and then from 8K upwards. And it will match what it's hearing from your music against a database of thousands of other songs. And as you can see here, I can actually, I've got some actual specific songs that, for instance, I might want to record a rap song that has exactly the same tonal qualities as most Fs do it now, or you know, the Eurythmics Sweet Dreams. There are a number of genre presets that you can select with it as well, like here's rock, and it will tell you if you've got too many low mids or high mids or highs or lows in your mix. There is also a little, I don't know if you can see it here, under where it says tonal, there is a little slider from left to right which says crest factor, and that will actually listen to your mix and tell you whether it's too compressed or not compressed or just about right. So it's an interesting. I do use it more than I thought I did, but if it was me and I was looking at the site, I'd say, okay, yeah, you need an instance of Ozone 9. If you can get if you can afford the advanced, get the advanced. But Ozone 9 standard and Neutron standard are the two go-tos that I do not make a piece of music in this studio without using both of those plugins on my stuff. They've just become indispensable to me in the 2 years since I bought the package that I bought, and when I bought Ozone 8 and when Ozone 9 came out, I upgraded. Same with when RX6, I bought RX6 in the bundle that I had, bought RX7 when RX7 came out. I see Isotope either today or yesterday actually dropped a trailer on their website. So RX8 is coming out soon, and goodness knows what that'll do, because RX7 is like magic. So somebody uploaded a track to 5090 this week, and just for a laugh, I dropped it into RX7, and it listened to it and said, "Oh, mains hum, 60 hertz," and it dropped not only a notch filter on it, but all the subsequent harmonics above it, and completely got rid of all the mains hum in the track. It is magic. Mains hum, while we're at it, this is something that tends to crop up a lot once you start buying multiple bits of kit, because what tends to happen is that you get what's called a ground loop. In other words, the ground on your pieces of equipment doesn't work properly, and the pieces of equipment start talking to each other along the ground loop. So what you need are these little boxes, and I've just realized I can't actually show you mine because it's actually isolating my desk here from the Zoom Q8 that I'm using as the audio input for OBS. But they're little boxes about the size of a box of cigarettes with stereo ins at one end, stereo outs at the other. And the difference that one of those makes, let me turn it on and I can give you an illustration. I have actually got my Blackstar 1x15 amp turned on, and you can't hear a thing. That proves it. should prove it's on. So there you go. Here's the buzz. Buzz free. So it helps that there's a gate on the processing, but that's the amp wound up right to the top of the sliders. Not a single buzz. But if I wasn't using the isolation thing, you wouldn't be able to hear me because it would be buzzing away. So that one's a Rolls Buzz Off, which I think was about $40. But the other one is one I found on Amazon, and it was like 29 quid. Well worth it if you start getting buzzes on your amps. But let me turn my Black Star off again. If you start hearing if you're in the UK, it'll be a 50 hertz hum, but if you're in the States, it's a 60 hertz hum because your alternating current runs at a different frequency to ours, then you may need to install a ground loop. Vespa says, got a dash. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for saying hello. And see you next time, mate. So, listening to unwanted noises, don't put up with them, because your listeners will get really irritated by them, especially if they know what they are. So you remember a long time ago, back in one of the early, in fact, it might have been even the first 5090 show we did, I talked about wanting to point your microphone, if you're using a cardioid microphone, remember, picks up stuff in front of you, ignores stuff behind you. So you want the noisy stuff like your computer, if it's got a fan going, you want that pointed away from you. But sometimes the noise that your gear is picking up is not necessarily coming through the air. It's coming through the circuits in your electrical equipment. And mains hum is the bane of audiophiles and production engineers the world over. I have mates who run their hi-fi systems not just through uninterruptible power supplies, but through power filters that smooth out any variations in the alternating current that they have. So people have ears that are good enough to pick up those variations in frequency and hum and everything else. And in terms of forensics, if you make a phone call, the mains hum that is almost invisible to you or inaudible to you drifts over time, and that drift of the hum in frequency can actually timestamp an audio recording. So I got myself the complete box set of Miami Vice for my birthday this month, which is glorious. A, because I'm a huge Jan Hammer freak, and his music was such an important part of that show. But there is a plot device in one episode of Miami Vice where somebody in the police department is framed, and they're framed because somebody has got a DAT recorder, because that was the new technology that was awesome and that was impossible to detect. They'd edited together a person's sentence using audio that they'd recorded with a DAT recorder. And of course, when played back over the phone, Crockett and Tubbs thought it was real. Thing is, forensics investigators these days would hear it and would hear the jumps in the mains frequency from the background hum picked up by the power distribution network and go, oh, there's an edit there. and there's an edit there. This is a forgery. So the whole episode these days, completely incomprehensible. So what a shame. Anyway, Guppy Wigbear says, cool. I'll tell you what, Guppy, I don't know if you've ever seen this show because it came out in what, 84-ish? Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers television series. It's two members of the Vice Department in Miami's police department fighting crime, and they have a Ferrari Testarossa because they pretend to be drug dealers, so everybody knows them as drug dealers rather than as the cops. Although why their cover never gets blown, well, their cover gets blown at the end of every episode, but the next week the whole of the drug dealing community is completely forgotten and is accepting them again. And the drug dealers, the underworld who they encounter, one episode has an untouchable drug dealer who they accidentally kidnap and then realise that they're going to have to let him go. So he holds his nose and jumps off the side of the speedboat back to his luxury yacht. It's Frank Zappa in a purple suit. There is a wide boy British drug dealer who comes to them at one point because he needs protection. And delivers the immortal line on television, in American television, of, "You must think I'm a right wanker." And the guy concerned, do you actually know what a wanker is? And that was Phil Collins. But, I mean, this insane show. Do try and track it down. There's Jimmy Smits is in it. Helena Bonham Carter's in it. Just every week there is somebody going, that's Glenn Fry from the Eagles, who even wrote a song for the show. They used incidental music by Phil Collins. They used incidental music by Kate Bush. Believe it or not, the Monks choral bit from the Seventh Wave gets used in a really, really interesting context in an episode of Miami Vice. And as Riako Music says, oh man, the fashion. They colour coordinated the sets with Crockett and Tubbs's uniforms. So apparently they were never allowed to use red on set, and they steered well clear of earth tones. So it was all pastels, and yeah, absolutely astonishing show, and one of the first big enterprises by a certain Mr. Michael Mann, who went on to be the brilliant film director responsible for things like Heat. So awesome series. But that completely squirreled me for what? That was a good 10 minutes. But, glad I stuck to my denim. Yeah, I'm definitely a denim and leather guy. Would have been nice to have the threads like Crockett and Tubbs, but could I afford them? No. Baggy trousers and linen suits, I'd have wrecked them within a couple of days. I absolutely would. So, what have we got here? So there's Vocal Doubler on this, which is free, so you can get that as an isotope plugin without having to spend any money doing anything else. There are a number of other similar sort of plugins that will help you thicken up your vocals, make them a bit less dry and painful like mine used to be. I chuck loads of compression, so when I record, there's actually compression here. These dials at this point on the desk are compressing the signal actually into the desk itself from the mic. Then I've got Ableton's own mildly aggressive compressor, which is just under 2-to-1 ratio. fairly slow attack, so it's 25 milliseconds. Then if we look inside Nectar 3, what have we got inside Nectar 3? We've got a gate, so I'm getting rid of the noise and the hiss from the mic, although the SM7B is not really that bad at creating hiss. It tends more to come in from my David's favourite, the mic mechanic, which Mel alerted me to the fact had become very hissy when I was recording some vocals for her this week, and it turned out to be the power supply. So I swapped out the Mic Mechanics old power supply for one that, I kid you not, is the size of a house brick. But the lead for it seems to be a bit problematic, because when I kicked it then it actually went off, but it seems to be working now. And as Array of Emotions says, there you go. That's the stuff. It is a very silly pedal, but it does come in useful. So, yeah, so I've got a gate, which is getting rid of most of the hiss from the Mic Mechanic. Then it's equalized, de-esser, and again, there's a de-esser built into the Mic Mechanic and a compressor. And then there's another equalizer, another compressor, and a reverb, although the reverb is almost invisible. So that's on the on there. Ryako Music says, "Oh, did you send me a link to you?" Yeah, the directory I sent you the Dropbox link to has raw vocals and it has the string section submix. And yeah, don't worry if you've been busy. Yeah, no worries. If you can't find the link, give me a shout and I'll send it to you again. Yeah, they should be in there. I don't think I moved them anyway. So, where are we? That's kind of it for Old Blue Jeans, and I think that means that we have now covered pretty much the 6 songs that I uploaded to the 5090 site earlier this evening. I've gone from being way behind to actually a couple of songs ahead of the curve. So I'm on 34 songs at the moment. Got a couple more things in progress, but I seem to be doing all right at the moment. I'll be looking forwards to playing a bit more guitar in future as well. Ryako Music says, "You're doing great," which, yeah, I'm taking that as a reference to Spamalot, but you guys probably aren't. Wobby says, "Wow, I am on song 5. Yes, I will be giving your new song a listen as soon as this show is over, because I've got a lot more listening and commenting to catch up on. I think I'm at about 210 comments at the moment. Some of the folks on 5090 have listened to and commented on over 600 or 700 songs, which is glorious that people are supporting the adventure to that degree, because that's what it's all about. It's about, the reason I'm doing this is to help other people to up their game. I'm learning a lot every time I do this, because, as the saying goes, if you want to learn how to do something or you want to learn about a subject, try teaching it, try explaining it to someone else. And you very soon realize you don't know half as much as you thought you did. So I've learned a hell of a lot from doing this. But I think at that point, I've pretty much run my course for this evening. So thank you, everybody, for stopping by. It's been really cool to see chat just scrolling up and up, and I'm trying to keep on top of it without appearing distracted on camera for the later sources and streams on YouTube and everything else. But I am very, very appreciative of you guys stopping by and actually nudging me in the right direction when the mic's getting too hot or the music's getting too hot. And I hope this evening, I think I seem to have kept the levels pretty much manageable. They've been consistently. I'm just looking at my monitor there for the little sound meter in OBS, and it's pretty much in the yellow for most of the time, which is kind of what I want. So, thank you all for stopping by. I hope you will join me again on Thursday at 19:30 BST or 20:30 European time, when I will be doing my regular, normal kind of twitchy thing rather than 50/90 thing, although it will probably be just as much of a shambles as this one is, but that's, kind of the fun of doing these things. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a good week, stay safe, stay well, and stay sane. And he said, looking at the scene on OBS so we can click on it, because I'm nowhere near being professional at this. I'll see you next time.